Hi guys, so I want to do something pretty interesting today. For context, I have a webinar I'm preparing for, and I will need to basically look at the materials for the webinar and come up with the entire presentation. I will be doing that with the help of AI agents that I have set up, that I talked about before on this channel and in other different places, and show you how I use them in my daily job for things like that. The webinar I'm preparing for is going to be about the content creation agent for B2B marketing, which you can find if you go to the solutions page on our website. This one is the content marketing for B2B. And so there's a demo of this platform available. There is an intro and different features that it has and things like that. And so basically, I will want to talk to the group of marketers about this solution and demonstrate how that conceptually works and what is possible. I already gave them the video. They can watch the demo so they understand how the system was working. So my objective is to show them at this webinar how that works conceptually, just to reinforce that, how these systems are kind of designed and what is happening to them. And also to show them a little bit of a different example of the same system based on the creation of the content for my personal brand. So kind of give these two perspectives. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you exactly how I'm approaching this kind of tasks and how I deal with them. So let's start. So I have a folder over here where I've got a transcript of the demo. I got some other materials describing the workflow and how that's working. I even have one of the workflows from N8N that is powering this thing available as a JSON. And on the right-hand side, we have Claude Code launched, which is where I'm going to be working on preparing the webinar and preparing the materials and talking you through that, because that's basically why I'm recording this video, to show you how that is working. So let's go. And also, for the context, I'm using a tool called WhisperFlow, which is the transcribing tool. So I'm going to be dictating to AI, and it will be appearing after that in this text boxes. There are other tools on the market. It's not an ad or anything. It's just the one that I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to start Corbin, and I do that from my top-level agent with a custom command. And right now, the Corbin is going to open in a separate tab over here. And Corbin is my business management agent. It runs my business operations. It is connected to my email, to my calendar, to my LinkedIn, to all sorts of other systems. And it is also connected to what we call source of truth in the company, which is a GitHub repository where we store all the information about the company operations in a way that can be used by agents. But that's not why we're here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it these two files. I'm just going to copy the path, paste the transcript here, and the same for this README. And I'm going to give it a task. I am preparing for the webinar tomorrow for marketing ops community. And I will be telling them about the content management agent, which we have demonstrated to them by sending them a demo of the solution of this product. You can find the transcript of the demo in the file that I provided, and you can also find the README file. I will also give you a web page for the solution and the link to the landing page for the webinar. You can find them below. What we're going to be doing with you is we're going to be coming up with the outline for the presentation that I'm going to have tomorrow. My idea is to create 5, 6, maybe 10 slides maximum, but make them information dense and clear. We don't have much time on the webinar, and we also want to give some time for questions. Now, those slides should talk conceptually about this agentic system and how that works, but it should use non-technical language. We're going to be talking to marketing automation people, but not engineers. So we should use the tone of voice adjusted towards these folks and the explanation schemas and methods that would work well for them. Now, the first thing I wanted to do is to come up with the conceptual flow of the webinar itself, how we're going to approach these topics and explain them. And we're going to have a brainstorming session back and forth until we approve this one. After that, we will create an outline of the presentation. Okay, so prepared this task, and what I need to do is to give it the landing page for the solution that we already have on the website, and to give it a landing page for the webinar as well. Okay, so here we go. I give it 2 pages, and I'm also going to plug it into the thinking mode, making sure that it actually analyzes it better. So as you can see, I bulk loaded the entire content onto this thing and gave it context, and I'm pretty convinced, based from my experience, that it will process that and understand what we're talking about and what to do pretty easily. So let's see. Okay, it came back with some questions. Let's see. Option A, problem, shift, how it works, why it's different. Specific angle, hook you to lead with, cost savings, speed, quality. So I want this webinar to be helpful to these folks rather than salesy. So whatever hooks we're going to use, we will need to use educational approach on how these things work. Then I think we should emphasize a couple of characteristics of this solution, one of which is the maintenance of the consistent tone of voice. And the other one is the use of the brand identity when we are creating any of the materials. So the content that is coming out is in a consistent tone of voice and with the use of the brand identity that has been specified, which provides reliable and consistent content production across all the different channels. And we can also highlight that because of the advancements in image generation and the approaches that we're using, it's now possible to create well-designed, consistent images, carousels, diagrams, and even videos, depending on the tasks of a specific department. And we should also include the brief demo that I will do of the personal brand related engine that basically creates repurposing posts from one single video transcript, and that's the one that is working for me well. Anyway, I gave it some context over here. They're trying to answer all of the questions it had. And I wanted to also see if I want to connect Cornelius, which is the second brain, to prepare this presentation, but actually I think we better not. What we can do is we can say that here is Ruby, that is our agent for content creation, the actual one that I'm using on my machine. All right, let's give it a try. Okay, it came back with some more questions, and it's asking whether this arc of problem solution and what's new would work, and how agents work system as well. So now I want to add another variable here, and another variable is the following. I'm going to just talk to AI and you can listen. Okay, so we have a capability to generate nice infographics and diagrams with the use of Nano Banana. So I would like you to think of where in this flow of problem solution, what's new, we can use simple diagrams to explain how a particular concept is working. And we should also explain how agents are working and explain that this solution is installed within their infrastructure on their own instance of NA10. And overall, our process looks like, we take the analysis of the business process, understand the requirements, we create a customized tone of voice, we create this brand identity document for them, and basically connect this solution to any of their systems and launch it afterwards with the interface in whatever system they prefer, but usually in Slack. As for my personal brand demo, it's going to be maybe 10 minutes long. Cool. I need to correct it to say that I meant NA10. Well, actually, I can just correct it in the previous message. That's a typical issue for these transcribers, and they just miswrite NA10 all the time. To be honest, I don't think this is their fault. I think this is NA10's fault to come up with this kind of name, but everybody has their own preferences. All right, so it created the first draft version. We're gonna look through that and see what's going on here. And then I will give a feedback to the model on what I'm seeing. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to start the voice recording, and as I go through this, give a feedback to the model on what I want to change. Okay, consistency problem slide looks okay, but I would add on the problem side also a comment that in general, everybody has to be on all of the social media. This is no longer an option. It's a requirement to every company to be visible. And especially now when everybody's fighting for the place under the sun, for the attention of people, you need to publish consistent, intelligent content that is helpful to users and of a good quality. So that is the problem that we really are solving with this solution. So that needs to be highlighted. Slide 3 with agentic system is fine. We're going to keep the schema. 2 pillars is fine. So the first part of the feedback is there. Let me continue with the rest. I think we should remove slide 6 and the concept that it runs on your infrastructure. This is a bit technical for the audience. If they ask questions, we can answer, but let's skip slide 6. Slide 7 is good. Yeah, I think it's overall good. So after the adjustments that I mentioned, I want you to save it to a separate Markdown file within a dedicated folder for this project. Cool. So I basically give it all the feedback I had at this point, and it is going to go ahead and create the file. All right, so the presentation is ready. At least the first version of the presentation is ready. So what I'm going to do with that is the following. Taking this presentation outline, that's just the text that it generated with all sorts of details inside of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the whole thing and go to Gamma, create new presentation. Gamma is a service where I can generate presentations from the outline, where you can just insert the text and it will do much of the rest on its own. So I'm going to choose summarize the text, but in a detailed fashion. I'm going to choose the presentation template theme that has been selected and created before. This is using our brand identity. I'm going to choose line art over here for AI generated art. These 2 slides, the last one I will drop after that, but let's start the generation. Cool, so the generation has started, and now let's go back to the agent because I want to confirm so it started to generate diagram. Next steps, generate for diagram, generate diagrams. We will have a chance to review those diagrams and apply connections. Or actually, I will show you one trick I'm doing all the time. I'm just saying generate diagrams, then look at them, make sure they are self-consistent and make sense, and iterate with them until you get the right result. So the point here is that I wanted to generate diagrams and look at them as an agent, so just visually, and see if they make sense, and only show me the results when they actually do make sense at the end. That works quite well in most of the cases, surprisingly. But yeah, sometimes judgment is good on visuals for the most part. But let's see how it works in this case. So again, it knows how to use Nano Banana because that's part of the programming to this particular agent, to Corbin, that I provided. And yeah, it is going to generate it, save it, and then look at it. See, it's looking at it right now. All right, so it says it's good, but let me actually check. Project file, marketing ops webinar. All right. We go to project files and we find this webinar. And over here, we have all these generated images. So let's take a look at how they look like. Slide 2, let's start here. The content challenge, single source content creation. All right, that's not half bad. Could be better. And I think one thing it's missing is that it's not using our visual style, which we have saved in a separate place. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it and then give it the style guide. I will roll back to this message and go find my style guide. Okay, I found the style guide, so let me give it here. I'm going to use the same style guide as I use for thumbnail creation because it has the same colors as we have on this presentation template. That will work. It will figure it out. Please make sure that generated images are stylistically consistent with the style guide below. Okay, let's see what actually happens. Okay, let's go back and see what happened. So it generated a couple of diagrams, then it validated whether it looks good from its perspective or not. Actually, it generated a couple just now. So let's take a look. All right. Tone of voice, brand identity, 2 pillars. That's fair. This one has a little too many components, so it's barely visible. I will have to edit that a little bit. And it also has duplicate charts, duplicate boxes over here with analytics engine. And I think it should be able to catch that. Performance, voice, brand kit, launch. I think slide 3 is, diagram 3 is not strong. I think he needs to redo that. But let's wait for it to finish. Okay. Not half bad. I don't like the style itself a little bit, but that's more of a style problem. At the end of the day, after a couple of runs, it cleaned up all the stuff after itself, and this is what we have. One brand, consistent content at scale, implementation process, and AI agent team. Okay. I mean, it fixed the error that there was before on this slide, but I think I like the actual diagrams. Yes, there may have some issues here and there with little stylistic problems, but conceptually they are good to go. Okay, let's look through the presentation itself. And as you can see, this is in the same colors as the rest of the style. That it's a gray and red over here. So that was the whole idea, to use the same style so I can reuse the diagrams. Right. So this slide 3 is what is listed as slide 2 over here. So I need to use this image over here and hope that it's going to be better. Let's try. I'm just going to take and drag and drop this here. Then I'm going to crop it a little bit and change the ratio. And as you can see, this is actually not bad at all. So I'm going to leave it this way and move on to the next slide, which is how agentic systems work. And it's talking about the research agent, content agent, and stuff like that. Okay, then we have 2 pillars of consistency, and it generated a very funny image over here, which I'm going to obviously drop. And instead, I'm going to put these 2 pillars over here. Just maybe put it in the center a little bit. And I would like to make it a bit bigger. That's kind of hard over here. I probably need to change some type of the box I'm using, but whatever. I think it's going to work out just fine. All right, move on to the next one. Possibilities with the visual UI. And over here, I would probably insert a couple of images later from the landing page. And on this slide on how we implement, we have this chart, analyze requirements, voice brand kit, connect, launch. And actually, I'm not going to use that either. I think this is okay on its own, so I'm going to leave it as is. Then I'm going to do the live demo. Actually, this one I'm going to drop entirely. And then the takeaways. Okay. So that looks good. I will just add a couple small adjustments by introducing myself first. I will copy a slide from a different deck to here, and this is ready to go. So there you go. In what, I don't know, an hour of time, I prepared a presentation for the webinar with the help of my agents that are in context of what is happening in my business and the content and the rest of it. Thank you. Hope it helps. Cheers.